So we haven't been able to make a recap in a few days because the MLB offseason has kind of slowed down, but we have a big update on Shohei Ohtani and the Mets. Apparently, New York is swiping left on Ohtani. They got the ick from him. We'll talk about why in just a second. We have a massive update on Tim Anderson. His future is now in question, and Giancarlo Stanton, speaking of futures, he might not finish his career with the pinstripes. All of that in today's MLB Recap, and just a reminder, Recap is presented by SeatGeek. Make sure you guys are using code Fuzzy for 20 bucks off, and also Underdog Fantasy. Use code Fuzzy for a $100 deposit match. Before we talk about Shohei Ohtani, Tim Anderson, and Giancarlo Stanton, look at this tweet right here from Rawlings Baseball presenting the 2023 Platinum Glove winners, Fernando Tatis Jr. and Andres Gimenez. Obviously, Andres is one of the best infield defenders I've ever seen in my life. Him winning obviously makes a lot of sense because he might win a couple of those. He could be the Nolan Arenado of second basemen. Fernando Tatis Jr., that was not expected after what I saw from him in spring training, but the fact that he was able to rebound and really improve his outfield prowess. I mean, the dude was suspended for roids not too long ago. He had his position stolen from him by Xander Bogaerts, an incoming free agent. He was stuck out in right field, and he became a platinum glover. Now, one thing I have to show you guys is Fernando Tatis Jr.'s baseball savant, because if we take a look at 2021, look at the walk rate. So in 2021, he had an 11.4% walk rate, and in 2023, it dipped to an 8.3% walk rate. His chase rate was really bad, so him not playing for a year and a half really affected his on-base skills, but everything else was elite. Defensively, he was sick. On the bases, he was sick. Hitting the ball hard, he was one of the best in baseball. So for me, now that Fernando has had a full year under his belt, 2024, I feel like it's going to be a launching pad season, kind of like Ronald Acuna Jr. when he was slow out the gate after he came back from ACL surgery. So I guess the question is, do you think that Tatis actually needed those PEDs back in the day? I still think that he played clean up until him getting busted. He had 25 home runs, 29 stolen bases, and a platinum glove in his first time playing baseball in over a year. And again, all of the steroid traits like hitting the ball hard, arm strength, speed, those didn't dip at all. The only thing that dipped was him getting on base because he was swinging at a lot of balls outside the zone. That gets improved with time and practice, not steroids. Now, one more small thing I do want to bring up. We have an update on the brand new manager for the Astros. So Dusty Baker, he is retiring. He has been replaced by Joe Espada. And as you can see, he is the 20th manager ever for the Astros. And he was the bench manager for the Astros for the last few seasons. So he's familiar with the squad. I feel like he's going to do pretty good. And that's just because the Astros are always good. I don't know how much pull he's going to have as the manager, but that's just me. Now, before we talk about Tim Anderson and Giancarlo Stanton, look at this tweet right here. The Mets are focused on Yoshinobu Yamamoto, the teammate, the Japanese teammate from the World Baseball Classic of Shohei Ohtani. Apparently, they have no realistic chance at landing Mr. Ohtani, the unicorn. And if we take a look at their projected lineup going into 2024, they really need a bounce-back season from Starling Marte. Brett Baty really has to perform. Now, on paper, they should be good, but again, they have to kind of hope that they get bounce back seasons in the rotation. Kodai Senga, he was amazing last year. He's probably going to finish top 5 in the Rookie of the Year and the Cy Young. So they have Senga, they have Jose Quintana, who wasn't the best, but he also wasn't terrible. Joe Lucchesi, he showed a lot of promise. So 2024 is probably going to be a building year in terms of the rotation for the New York Mets, and maybe in 2025 they go out and get other pieces, but not getting Ohtani or not even focusing on him. I didn't have that on my 2024 offseason bingo card. I thought the Mets were going to go full send and get Ohtani as the new face of the franchise, but maybe they're focusing on Yamamoto and trying to re-sign Pete Alonso. What do you guys think of this? So we all know that Tim Anderson had a season to forget in 2023. Not only was he terrible on the field, but everyone was making fun of Tim Anderson all season long because everything kind of caught up to him. Not that he has been a bad guy per se, but he's always been someone that kind of propped himself up as one of the best players in baseball, and then he got rocked by J-Ram. A lot of quotes from his past came out to haunt him, and it just was not a good year. As we mentioned, he had a 60 OPS plus, a 286 on-base percentage. That is awful. And defensively, he might have been the worst defender in baseball with negative 16 DRS. And if we take a look at this, everything was ice cold in terms of exit velocity, chase rate, which again is swinging at pitches outside the strike zone. He was bottom 7% in walk rate, and defensively, again, he was absolutely terrible, and his sprint speed dropped to 27.2 feet per second, and maybe that's because of injuries, but he was slow last year. He was just completely washed up last year. But the reason why we're bringing up Tim Anderson is apparently the Angels and a few other teams have Tim Anderson in sights to be their everyday second baseman. Now, one thing I do want to mention real quick, Tim Anderson in 2023, plagued by injuries. He wasn't very good after the knee injury, then he had a shoulder injury, a forearm injury, back-to-back neck injury. So again, the reason why he was so bad in large part in 2023 is because he could not stay healthy. So the Angels, they're kind of banking that, hey, Luis Rengifo or Zach Neto, they're going to be our dogs up the middle or maybe at third base. But Tim Anderson as a platoon guy or someone that can play second base, maybe the defense is improved in second base. Maybe he's healthy. And at this point, Tim Anderson, he just wants to play. He even said that, hey, I want to play shortstop, but he's also grateful for the opportunity to be a starting anyone in Major League Baseball because that's how hard the game is. The dude hit 318 from 2019 to 2022, so it's not like he just forgot how to play baseball. I genuinely think that Tim Anderson is going to have a mini bounce back year in 2024. Is it going to be for the Angels? Is it going to be for the Blue Jays? I have no idea, but I'd give Tim Anderson $7 to $8 million. I'd take a flyer. I'll give him some credit. He did not play healthy in 2023, and the White Sox, they just had bad vibes all the way around. Everyone regressed for the White Sox. Dylan Cease, Lucas Giolito was better until he got traded, then he fell off. Michael Kopech kind of stunk, so, I mean, Moncada, you name it, they weren't very good in 2023 if you played for the White Sox. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, Cameron Maybin, the former teammate of Giancarlo Stanton and the former broadcaster for the Yankees, he wasn't brought back as a broadcaster, so maybe he has some harsh feelings towards the Yankees franchise, but he believes that Giancarlo is not going to finish his career in pinstripes. He says that he'll likely end up somewhere that actually appreciates Giancarlo Stanton and how he's handled New York. But then again, Stanton's been very bad lately. If we take a look at Giancarlo Stanton from 2019 to 2023, that's basically 4.5 seasons because in 2020, that was the shortened season, but he only played in 23 of the 60 games. He's played in a combined 391 games since 2019. He's combined for a 3.9 WAR. He's been paid $142 million. So yeah, Yankees fans have every right to kind of boo Giancarlo Stanton every so often, regardless of his playoff success. Now, is playoff success awesome? And has Giancarlo Stanton been a monster in the playoffs? Sure, but should that discount how horrific he's been and how injury prone he's been during the regular season? I don't think so. Say what you want about the Yankees fan base, maybe they're delusionally passionate or they're too aggressive sometimes, but in their hearts, every single season, they legitimately think they have a chance of winning the World Series. If it was up to them, they would have 100 World Series and not just the 27 that they talk about every single season. That's besides the point. But how can you blame them when they grew up with Derek Jeter as their starting shortstop, who once upon a time said this?
You play to win. Yeah, in anything. If you want to race me down the street, I'm gonna beat you. Because it's black and white for me. You know, I don't think you're happy finishing second or happy getting to a World Series. The goal is to win. If I don't win, then not fun to be around. I've never understood it. You know, well, it feels better because we made it to the World Series and lost. Why does it feel better? I've never understood that. I really don't get that one.
So that does it for today's recap. Let me know, where do you think Ohtani is going to land? Do you think that team should take a flyer on Shohei Ohtani? What do you make of Fernando Tatis Jr. winning a Platinum Glove, and also Giancarlo Stanton? Should he get traded, or is that a big time risk considering how injury prone and how expensive he is? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll catch you in the next one.